All right, Kate Winslet's spoken about the struggles of raising children in an era of tech advances when she accepted a Best Actress prize at this year's RTS Awards. In her acceptance speech, the Oscar winner said there has never been a harder time to parent due to social media struggles the younger generation face. In fact, one expert has also said that children should be banned from using screens until they're 6. What do you reckon to that, Jane?
I suppose by... you have to sort of define the meaning of the word screens in that sense, because if they're just watching Peppa Pig or Teletubbies or whatever on, as we call it, the electronic babysitter, I don't have an issue with that. But it is obviously the access to other stuff. And it does astonish me because even to this day, we all had it force-fed to us by our parents, you know, stranger danger, do not get in a car with a stranger, don't talk to a stranger on a street, only go up to a shopkeeper with a, you know, a bad job, all of that. And then what we do in this day and age is we now go, here you are, and we hand every stranger in the world access to our child. And I think as parents, we have to... rather than go, oh, well, in our day it wasn't like that, we have to learn what it is like now and keep an eye on what our children are looking at.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so both of mine, and Florence is 3.5, Alfie's 5.5, so both of mine have tablets which are children-specific, so they're specifically there for kids. So I control whatever content they can put on there, which just tends to be Peppa Pig in Florence's case, or films in Alfie's case, and anything else that they try to put on there, so kid-friendly games, they can't unless I approve it, and I'll get a flash up on my phone. And they never do that anyway. They've got no interest in that. They just kind of want to watch cartoons. That's what they do. But I think the worry that I do think about this because I've got friends who've got kids who are older, is what happens when they do start engaging with social media, as a lot of teenagers do, kids 10, 11, 12 do.
And peer pressure.
Peer pressure. Because when I was at school, if you got bullied and someone beat you up, you went home, your parents would see you were beaten up, they knew that something had happened, they'd march down to the school. But your kid could be sat right next to you watching, I don't know, Saturday Night Takeaway and being bullied at the same time as having family time. They could be sat there arguing with their friends. Their friends could be saying awful things about them whilst they're sat right there next to you, and you will have no idea.
There is no safe space,
There is no safe space anymore, and that's what worries me, because no amount of technology can necessarily stop that, because if you don't... You could not have, you know, you could not give a phone to your kid for the whole of their teenage lives. That's just not a reality. But that is the fear, is that they may not feel comfortable enough that they can talk to a grown-up about what's happening to them on their DMs, on whatever social media
and also you have very little perspective on the world when you're young. So, you know, if we get trolled from doing this show, we just go, oh, you know, go away, saddo or whatever. But kids, they don't have the ability to do that.
The problem is as well, and you hinted at it there, Jane, is that we all tend to do that. Oh, in our day, I wish we didn't have it. I wish they had the freedom of our childhood. But we cannot, no matter how much we'd like to half the time, put that genie back into the bottle. We haven't. So we have to, you know, address it as it is. I mean, even with my son, Louis, who's 22, so obviously he's not a kid, I can't stop him doing anything. But I get, because he's a young actor, and, you know, he's doing quite well, which is he is. You've worked with him, you have. Oh, yeah, I forgot that. You have. But the thing is, nowadays, it's not enough to just get the part on your own merit. You have to prove that you've got so many Instagram followers, and he's not a massive Instagrammer, and it's like, what? So he has to do that just because of that, and I get really upset about the fact that the world has changed. But as I say, it can't. The other thing that I'm very aware of is that, you know, many people are in a position to have the time to monitor what the children are doing. But you imagine, you know, we've just heard that council tax is going to exceed £2,000 in most homes. This bill's going to go up, that bill. You've got 3 or 4 children. You're just trying to feed that family, and it's very hard to also think, what are they accessing? Because at this day and age, all you have to do is write, you know, you used to have to go when Lincoln was a teenager and persuade people to give you the top shelf magazines, you know, and you kind of deserved to have a quick look then if you tried that hard. But nowadays, you just press at any age the word porn in there, and it's horrific what comes up. At the press of that button, you're not having to even access certain areas, and that's really hard to know what to.
But as you say, in the
yeah.
cost of living crisis, if you're doing like 3 jobs,
Who's got the time to think about that? In fact, on that subject, I was narrating a documentary that was an experiment. It was called Mums Make Porn, and I thought, oh my gosh, what is this? What's this show about?
we're all thinking that's the
Yeah, we are.
Who thought that I would be the good voice for that? But
there are many.
the truth of that documentary was it was trying to get mums, real mums, to try and steer the kind of porn that they wish the next generation would watch.
Because they knew that their kids would look at it.
They knew their kids was watching the terrible stuff that's out there. And you're right, I thought I was quite liberal and I was up to speed, but I'm shocked at how the rise in female degradation has gone in that area. And so this was an experiment where they were trying to see what mums would like to try and portray as the equality in sex. It didn't have to be boring, it didn't have to be vanilla, it just had to show that the women had a say in that space. And I think there needs to be more and more initiatives that are at least having the conversation so kids can choose between hearing the debate. If they then choose...
But also educating them, full stop.
Absolutely.
Which we also have to work out a way to do that with our kids,
Absolutely.
really. I mean, we did do a poll online and it was, should kids be off screens until they're 6? So thanks so much for getting involved. 64% said yes and 36% said no. So that's
I'd love to interview the 36% people and say why.
They might be thinking about television, though, as well.
We didn't say off screens, did we? We just said with them being able to sort of Google and stuff.
I think it's internet access, isn't it, more than screens.
Yeah.